firstly, on that vocabulary, it's hard vocabulary. I'll tell you how I devised it. A lady that worked on the exams went through the books picking out what seemed to be the hardest words. Those became key to the books. But then I took about 30 or 40 past classic aptitude tests, and I made sure that every word that was a vocabulary word required for those tests appeared in the word list too. And those that were unique and not in the books, we stuck in the vocabulary anyway. So if you know all those words, in the SAT verbal is largely a vocabulary test. So it's fantastic preparation for that, but they're tough words. There's one learning technique that's in there. The guy sent me a book about it. He sent me a little thing, what's that called? What's his book called? A little tiny paperback. It's hard to find now. But anyway, this fellow went to college in the humanities, and he flunked out. So he went to college again, and he flunked out again. He went to college a third time, and this time he took his lecture notes, and he went home from every day, and he lectured to an empty room, re-giving the professor's lecture from his notes. In other words, he lectured to an empty room from his own notes. He taught the course to the chest of drawers in his room. He did that with every course, and he made straight A's. And I sort of dubbed it oral learning. And there's a little section on there about that. The section goes by very quick. Your eyes may glaze over. Well, that's fine. That's something I can get to. I've only gotten 2 of my kids to do this. Bethany's doing it now. Noah, but I got Noah to do it. And Noah he got through the first physics book. He gets to the second physics book. It's electricity and magnetism. It's tough. He was spent time, like maybe 4 hours a day on his physics and missing a few problems. And so why don't you try this oral learning? Noah started. He started doing it. He basically goes to a room where there's no one can hear him, and bites off a little bit of the book, maybe a paragraph, part of the paragraph, whatever. He bites off a little of it, and then lectures to the room about that. As much as he can hold in his head, he teaches. Then he bites off the next piece and teaches, and so on. Does that with the whole physics book. He was getting done half the time missing nothing because they were all learning. Now, let me finish. I'll tell my story, and then I'll go to that. I told Apostle about this, and he said, well, I'm not surprised it works. I'm just surprised you could get him to do it. It's something every professor knows. When you teach a course, you learn it very well. I used to notice that some of the more famous people would teach elementary courses. And people always said of them, oh, isn't it fine? This great scientist loves students so much. He teaches the first year course, he gets the love of students. I always suspected it was something else that they would never admit. And that was if they taught introductory chemistry or physics or whatever it was, they learned it better themselves in every class. And often people say, well, if you help other students, you will learn better. That's true, but you only hit and miss. It's whatever they don't know. You just do a little of it. That is an incredible technique. He's been using it in college now, and it's just wonderful for him. If a student can learn, because you can learn by reading, you can learn by hearing, but it's incredible amount of learning you can learn by teaching, by orally teaching. And in vocabulary, I'm sure it will work. I've got Bethany. I told her to start trying it on the vocabulary. She's doing it on her physics, but I said try it on the vocabulary. If they verbalize it, they go to a room where there's no one can hear them and use the words out loud. When you talk, when you verbalize something, it's a very, very valuable way of learning that people don't usually use. But giving a lecture on a subject, or in a case of vocabulary, just a mini lecture where you use it in a couple of sentences. That oral learning technique is an unbelievably powerful tool for learning. It's just that few people will do it. His older brother, I never could get him over his self-consciousness, even though no one could hear you. He was too self-conscious to do it. Bethany was almost crying when I said, you have to go try it. But she did do it because she's beautiful and did what I asked, helping her. It's a wonderful technique. And there's just a couple pages about it on there, but it really works. If you ask Noah about it, he can tell you it's fantastic. And teachers know that. Like Apostle said, this guy has spent his life teaching top math students, and he's a top mathematician. He knew instantly. He says, of course it works. But how do you get the student to do it? If you can get your student to do something like that, that's another technique you might try. They got to learn the vocabulary, and if they're getting tired of reading and saying and stuff like that, they might try verbalizing.